Board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. We are starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing. And today, although it wasn't physically real, we're going to talk about the digital spiel. And over there, it's a lot of people that we are going to talk about like a whirlpool. I'm sorry about all the bad rhymes. Over there, it's the person I don't hate. It's, in fact, I like them. They're known as Xate. And over there, it's another sweet boy. It's the one who doesn't want to destroy your heart, Michael. There, below me, it's the person known as Tally. And I've kept arguably the best for last of all. It is the person known as Alan Paull. Board games and Essen Spiel, it's what we're talking about. Board games and Essen Digital. I'm not gonna shout. Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you.
Beautifully done. Noble.
Yeah.
And it is Jess. And so, hello, Jess. It is lovely to see you. And lots of love, and I hope that you're generally well. Hello, Alex. And hello, Quality Beast Games. When
Does that not say just typing own stuff? Just typing own stuff. Ooh,
that is not me. Totally.
That was a lot of me, apparently.
Did someone put
a little bit of you
and...
is always a lot of you, Michael. Ooh. But in the best of ways.
Let's take a step back. Hopefully, we can go forwards without too many technical issues. I am Bez. This is bedtime if you live in New Zealand or even in Australia. Like, it's 9 p.m. It's a perfectly reasonable bedtime. And we are blethering about board games. Coming up today, we are going to talk about Essen Digital, which happened a week and a bit ago with the aforementioned people, Alan Paull, Xate, Talita Rhein, and Michael Fox. And so let's get into some introductions as we talk about these people. So, yes, Xate, can you say something about yourself, please?
Always these open introductions. I'm Xate. I am at Quality Beast currently, working a little bit as a community developer and loving it because they're the most awesome company in the world. And I'm not just saying that because my boss is in the chat. And I love games.
Oh, right.
You're muted, Bez.
Yeah. Ooh. And Michael, could you talk about you?
Hello, dear viewers. I am Michael Fox, aka Sweet Boy Michael, aka just whatever you want to call me. It's fine. I make games. I talk a lot. I apologize. You probably know me for stuff like, being angry on the internet. But games-wise, I made stuff like Mega City Oceania and Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr, the second saddest game in the history of board game.
All good. All good.
And just a quick hello to Alan in chat. And Quality Beast is a publisher and localization place.
With a cute red panda.
Okay.
So maybe we can get properly into your companies as part of the what were you trying to do later on in the show.
Okay.
So let's get into who Alan is.
I am Alan Paull. I've been designing games for years, and I run Surprise Dare Games with my wife Charlie, who is sitting alongside me. She looks like she might actually be watching the show.
What up, Charlie?
Whoa.
Hello, Charlie.
Yeah. And I'm currently doing stuff with various games, including Kingmaker, but that's probably not relevant at the moment. But yeah.
And hello, Jos van Tongeren. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but hello. And finally, we've got the lovely Talita Rhein.
Hi, I'm Talita. You can call me Tali. I'm a newbie. I'm not experienced. I have only one game, and it's on Kickstarter now. It's Dogo Dash. And I went to Spiel in the prototype gallery. I'm very looking forward to hearing all the stories here.
So, yeah. Because it's a group chat, I decided yesterday that I'm going to make the group chats a bit more focused as opposed to, the sort of off-tangent stuff that we had with VB Wild yesterday. Are you saying... But we will still start off briefly with a brilliant thing was a little thing, which is brilliant. We didn't discuss this before the show, so first person to say a brilliant thing gets it.
Cats.
Homemade stuff.
Labels.
No, cats was first.
But we've had cats before.
Did we?
Not my cats. My cats are special.
Okay, I'm going to trust Xate because no, it's Xate. Okay, what did you say? Homemade stuff.
Homemade stuff, yes.
Oh,
okay, I don't fully think we've had homemade stuff before. So homemade stuff, yeah. Take it away. Why is that brilliant?
Well, I have as an example my perfectly crafted mug that fits exactly to my hand and won't fall off when I have a spasm, which is fun. And it's just an example of expressing your own creativity, doing something and having a result of it. And you can gift it to someone else. You can keep it for yourself. But it's just something a little special. You can't buy this type of special in a store. It's from your heart. It shows off how imperfect but perfect you are. Like it was supposed to be dark green. It's not. Is it still cool? Yes. That's okay. And I'm not perfect, but I'm okay. And this mug can remind me of that. And, it can remind you of that too. So perfect, imperfect, homemade things for yourself and others.
I really like that. And I'm going to say the reason why I think homemade things are brilliant, I would like to just expand this to prototypes and just say, there's something lovely about, I feel proud of my early prototypes of Kitty Cataclysm. And I think I saw some...
That's why you had everything covered up, so you could just sort of do this magician-style reveal of
But it's like, everything doesn't need to be printed and pristine. It can just be, things that you've scrolled down, and then it's a reminder that you made this with your own hands.
Yeah.
And there's something lovely about that. Talita wants
I made
to
a
show
cat.
us...
A homemade cat.
Oh no, I got a homemade card.
Show us again.
That's really a homemade cat. Very
Beautiful. Beautifully
Mixing
done.
together the two things.
Yeah, Jess, that's super sad. But you have all of our love.
I'd heard about this, and Jess, for those who don't know, Jess has been sharing their story about Mayo, and Mayao basically was picked up, abandoned, and just had this cat that had cat flu, took to a vet, was getting better, but then basically died last night.
Sad.
And so if we can get some hearts and chats, I would really appreciate that. Just
there you go.
But
a moment of silence for the fine cat. All right.
So, Alan, you wanted to show
no. Oh, not well. I was just saying. Well, I was just saying prototype cards. That was my brilliant thing. This is from our game Snails and Grails, which is currently in development.
Does it use real snails?
It does. I actually do have some wooden snails.
I want real ones.
Not wooden ones.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we could use real snails. Might be a bit cruel to the snails because they have to go in certain directions.
They get to play a game.
It'd be
like, you know,
Do you have a
7-hour
handcrafted
gameplay.
thing?
And you have to wipe
I mean,
it down.
aside from my own prototype stuff, I mean, I guess most of my
Why is
homemade
handcrafted things brilliant? Tell us
why
why
are they brilliant?
handcrafted.
I mean, it's sort of like it's an expression of love, I think, isn't it? It's like, especially if you're making something handcrafted for somebody else. So, for example, this doll back here in the background. Hang on, let me go again. Oh, got to do it without ripping my head off. Oh. This is Makoto from Persona 5, as made by my partner, Steph. Handcrafted. Everything is like hand stitched. The face painted by hand, because Steph does doll customization and has a very, very good channel, by the way. But yeah, it's always an amazing sort of like sight to see it come from like this very, very standard factory settings doll and then get completely remixed and handcrafted into something new and beautiful and amazing. And this, yeah, Makoto is my favorite character at Persona 5, and yeah, Steph made this as a birthday present for me. So it was like, oh, awesome. Handcrafted stuff is brilliant because it's an expression of love. That's what I'm going to say.
And Alex brings up chocolate. And
do you want to see mine? Go over there.
I mean, this is just going to cause envy in me again, and yeah. I mean, I don't know if everyone in chats is ready for this. I don't think we want to hear about your amazing chocolates, because then that's just like torture.
Something I started doing for COVID. I now draw in chocolate and send the chocolate drawing pictures to people. So
nice.
And you also make special fillings for chocolate.
So are you really? You're a version of Willy Wonka then? Yeah?
I am the best version of Willy Wonka, except I don't have a top hat. So
you need a top hat. You better get one.
Hat.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the chat, feel free to let us know why you think handcrafted things are brilliant. And as we move on to the questionably quick questions, feel free to shout us, and by which I mean type in, because we probably won't be able to hear, even if you shout really loudly, any questions that you might have for the people. We'll start off with some silly and general getting to know you questions for 10 minutes before we get into the main topic, and then we'll go through all the Essen Spiel stuff. So let me start off. As always, that way around. Starting with Alan. What time did you wake up today? I personally woke up a wee bit before 8. Alan.
About 6:30.
I don't like this question. 10:25. But I didn't sleep well. I was up till 4, so.
Fair enough. I woke up at 8:30, I guess. I don't know. I'm still asleep, so I don't know if I count as woke now.
Well, you're in a slightly different time zone, although actually only an hour ahead, aren't you? Because you're in Berlin, I presume. Yeah.
Yes.
Some people still asleep. Michael.
I woke up earlier than normal. I woke up at like 7:30 and made a cup of tea and went straight to work because I had stuff to do today. But yeah, earlier than normal. Didn't like it that much. Overrated.
And let's talk about breakfast. Like, do you normally eat breakfast? What have you had today? Today, all I've had to consume is about this much of a drink, which is water.
You always do this. Can you please eat in the morning?
You're not my dad, my mum, or any other parent. Keep moving, Alan.
I had muesli and spelt muesli and apple cut up into it, and a whole cafetiere of coffee, which is what I normally do every day. Which is probably why I get headaches later on in the day. But you know, I've got to start with some coffee. I'm allowed at least one sin, and that's fairly major actually. Coffee. I do have a lot of coffee. That's the most important bit, is the coffee, to be honest. And I'm learning German, so I've been reading. I've been reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in German over breakfast, which is really, I recommend it. It's very good.
Papa Michael's not going to be happy with me. I have also not yet had breakfast.
Well, you did wake up later.
Yeah.
Sally.
I mean, I might just go during stream.
Drink some water, Xate. I think it's good. I just had a boiled egg, and a tea, I guess. I don't remember, but I'm drinking water so I can wake up and get to reality.
Cool. I had. What did I have? It was only like an hour ago. Bowl of cereal, cinnamon grahams, and they were delicious.
Yes,
and I'm on my second cup of tea of the day.
Cereal seems to be a popular choice, and toast and tea, and someone seems to be very much measuring their diet.
Yoss is on full diet extravaganza at the moment, so really watching what he eats. That's impressive.
I am impressed with that amount of energy.
Sorry, I am on a diet. Diet, Yoss. Diet, not died.
Yeah, let's hope that you don't die.
Thank you.
That is quite phenomenal. Like, make sure that you do it in a healthy manner, of course. And, you know, if you lose too much weight, I'm sure you've done your research, but well done.
Yeah, looking after themselves. It's all
and
good.
Jess in Thailand has eaten tangerines. Excellent.
Yeah.
I wonder if the tangerines in Thailand are different to the tangerines here. Like if they taste slightly different.
Fresh,
don't need to
maybe.
apologize. So let's talk about games. What is the first game you can remember playing?
Goodness me.
I think that my first game I can remember is possibly Monopoly or Risk. Alan.
I can't remember that long ago. No, I think probably Monopoly. Probably, unfortunately. Probably, yeah. I mean, we played a lot of Cluedo when I was little as well. My sisters seem to like Cluedo. I don't know why.
See.
I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but I had a game that was all about space facts. So it was like, I mean, it was just a lot of cards with a lot of information on them and a board that had the planets. And I haven't been able to figure out what that game was. And my parents don't have it anymore. But yeah, I learned everything. I wanted to be an astronaut, you know, typical little kid thing. I was going to be the first woman on Mars. I don't want to do that anymore. It sounds so lonely. Like,
you could still be.
No way, man. I like friends. I like people. I want to take my board. Like, no. But, you know, back in grade school, it seemed like being alone on Mars would be less lonely than being alone on Earth. So, you know. But now, no, I'll stay here.
Now we have the internet and everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's also Cluedo.
Sorry, Tally.
Oh, is Tally still there?
Hello?
Yeah,
there.
I'm can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
My first game, I think, was also Cluedo.
Okay.
Or Monopoly.
And Michael?
Probably something Bobbins, like Ludo or Snakes and Ladders. Super basic. Like the first one I enjoyed was probably Hero Quest, but that's because I was a giant nerd even as a child.
And Jess has been to a board game cafe and had lasagna and chocolate milk to commemorate Mayao.
Actually, Yoss has given a shout out for an excellent early game, Ghost Castle. That game is still super great. Dropping the skull in the top of the tower and then watching what room it goes out into.
Let's go to an actual questionably quick question from the chat. if you're trapped on a desert island, would you rather it was made of hot custard or cold ice cream? I mean, I'm thinking that, like, is it magical? Like, is this going to remain at this temperature? Because either one of these is probably going to sink very quickly. That's what I'm worried about. I mean, it feels like custard has probably more chance of becoming a landmass than the ice cream. And
Agreed.
so that's what I would personally choose. If it was magical in that it was permanently at that temperature, and it was just, am I going to have my feet permanently, like anything below me permanently hot? But like, am I sinking down into this custard? Like, I would say that the ice cream, if it's permanently kept at that temperature, at least the ice cream gives it some structural integrity. What's your answer, Michael?
The custard will eventually either A, form a skin, which is great, because then it'll be nice and solid to stand on, or B, just go full Newtonian fluid. So either way, it's probably for the best from a stabilization point of view. The ice cream version, not so great, because the moment your feet touch it, it's going to start melting. If it's a good ice cream, like a Haagen-Dazs or a Ben & Jerry's, something like that, and that means you're going to slip around all over the place. So you don't want that. You want stability on this desert island. So, desert island. There you go. So yeah, I hereby vote for custard because it is the better of the two.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I agree with you. It looks more stable. And are we going to be able to eat the island, or are we just staying there?
I mean, you could dig in, I guess.
You might run into problems with it shrinking the more you eat.
I'm gonna oppose the custard. I'm gonna go for the ice cream because I think it's more like a kind of massive glacier, which could be really good. And of course, if you've got different types of ice cream that have got bits in, you could like I don't know, nuts or something. You could get those bits, and then you could have something to stand on and lie on. And then I think, and of course, we're not going to stay on here forever. We don't want to stay on here forever. We just want to eat some ice cream and then get rescued before the massive glacier ice cream thing melts.
I thought it was going to get all the way around to me with no one having said ice cream, and I was going to be like, I got you now. Alan got, yeah, I mean, depending on what kind of waters this desert island is in, ice cream might actually be more stable also. Keep in mind, if it's a colder area, the frozen texture might actually make it stay iceberg shaped longer. So you could build a little, igloo into it. You can eat the bit, like Alan, eat the nuts. You have something to eat that's not the stability of the place you're standing. There's a lot more chance, I think, of surviving. I'm hoping I'm also well dressed for an ice cream dessert.
Yeah, I was thinking about.
If I'm in a bikini, I'm going to have problems. But I think I'll be traveling in the area according, wearing appropriate clothing for the area. So I'm assuming, I'm in a full, down jacket and ski boots type of situation on my ice cream island. So yeah. I'm good.
I rather have a hot weather, like a warm and staying chill, and just stay there like very warm and cozy.
Yeah, I mean, Alan talking about bits in the ice cream. I'm ice cream all the way now.
No, all three of you are very wrong because there's also some huge issues when it comes to super freezing. Because if you're in salt water, everything around you is going to be colder. So this is going to get very, very bad. Very bad indeed. Stick with the custard.
But how are you going to build a shelter out of custard? It'll just like flop all over itself. Exactly. The ice cream, we can build igloos out of. We can, we can get it nice and warm inside our igloo. Sure, it's super cold outside. But
have you ever had an Irish trifle? Because that thing is solid as bricks. I could make not only an igloo, I could make a 3-story house out of my mother's trifle. The custard on the top of that is solid.
Aqua never said we're alone, so I'm assuming that in order to get stuck in this kind of expedition setting on any type of desert island, I would probably have my sled dog team with me. So, I mean, I'm in my igloo on my ice cream island with my sled dogs keeping me warm. I'm good.
I'll allow it.
And we'll make this the last questionably quick question. It's from Jos, who asks, if you were a plant, what kind of plant would you be? And my first thoughts is maybe I go nationalistic and I say, yeah, I'm a thistle. Like, I'm kind of a bit prickly and maybe not everyone wants to touch me, but, you know, I've got like a pretty head and it's like lovely. And people are like, yeah, looking good. Looking good, Thistle Bears, looking good. What about you, Michael?
A dead one.
Oh,
I don't do plants. I am horrifyingly allergic to flowers, and yeah, just I'm not a fan. So yeah, make me a plant, I'll kill myself. Literally, I will be dead.
Oh yeah.
I would be a cactus or a palm tree, like a tall, and I could see everything.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go something a bit weird, like a creosote plant, because they live. I think they live forever, like they're very long lived, and they can spread out over massive areas. So I'd have a lot of
a creosote plant. I need to look this up.
Well, you not heard of that? I think. I don't think I'm making it up. The creosote plant. Like they are some of the longest living organisms around. And they spread out over vast areas because they kind of spread out over under the ground as well as over the ground. Yeah. So then you could experience lots of different types of habitats and things. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, cool. And murder everything around you, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's imperialism of plants. There's a game in there somewhere, probably.
I feel like this is unfair because my alter ego is actually Oma Groot, and I post tree pictures pretty much every week of, you know, tree selfies of what I look like. So I'm not going to go with a tree because that's already my alter ego. And say if I couldn't be a tree, I'd probably be something, you know, herby, like maybe saffron or mint or not dill. Definitely not dill. You know, something beautiful. And I'm totally not plugging a game that Quality Beast has brought to German.
Is that herbaceous, I see?
No, this is actually the German implementation. Kräutergarten. We've done the German and the Dutch versions of this game, and that's why I would definitely be one of these.
Product placement in questionably quick questions. That sounds pretty good.
Disgusting.
so
just because you didn't think of it.
Well, yeah.
Let's move to the recent highlights, and let's keep this. I played 3 different games with Chris and Nicole yesterday. Labyrinth, which Chris absolutely adores. Sorry, I should say The Amazing Labyrinth. Sorry, just to distinguish. Although it doesn't say The Amazing Labyrinth on its snap. And there are multiple games by Ravensburger with exactly the same name, which is very confusing. That feels a bit kind of not great. But yeah, this is the one with that everyone knows. Lovely theme, strategic, uptown, great abstract strategy, Seikidate, and played a game that I'm working on for someone else, not going to talk about it with yous yet. That is my recent highlight. My other highlights was just seeing Chris and McCall. That was a lovely thing. Yeah. And so, Michael, what was your recent highlights?
Games-wise, I played a bit of Mahjong at the weekend on my Twitch channel. I also did a whole bunch of One Deck Dungeon, which I'm really getting into because it's just a very, very fun game, and the digital implementation is great, and it's always fun having chat shout at me for just making utter terrible mistakes. Life highlights. I'm going to mention the cats because it's 2 years today since we adopted them, because it's cat-anniversary, and I never thought that I would become one of those people, but I am now one of those people. I am the cat dad, and kind of living my best life with 2 stinky cats. Now the cats are just staring at me, going, "What the heck?" Now, yeah, I'm gonna have to start singing that now, Bez. So curse you.
Alan in chat says it was definitely their birthday yesterday, and they have a new stock of Marks and Spencer socks, underpants, and slippers. They also put up the large plastic Christmas tree ready to decorate today. It's going to be a long winter.
I'm here for that. That's good.
Tally, recent highlights, last game played?
I've been to the Break My Game Halloween edition this weekend, so I played a lot of Halloween themed games. It was very fun. And I also played some Brazilian authors as well. And they are all prototypes, so on Tabletop and Tabletop Simulator. And in real life, I played Double Dash. Yeah, I'm on Kickstarter now. Like, I play my game every day.
More shameless promotion. That's what we like to see.
Quite appropriate. Well, I think I might have been a bit more boring then. I mean, I played Terraforming Mars yesterday with Charlie. It was a really good game. We played completely different. We played completely different strategies, and there was 1 point between us at the end. I'm not going to say who won.
What was the final score?
I can't remember the actual score. It was, what was it? I can't remember. Charlie's probably got the figures. But I also played Airborne Commander Stratomax game, which is a solo game.
Nice.
It's a very, very good game. Got back into that. Couple of recent games of that. It's a solo game, but it's kind of very unforgiving. And I hadn't played it for quite a while. The first game I played, I did one of those things which you're never supposed to do, which was score some points in the first turn, because then what the deck does to you is it completely screws you over. And I won, but by half a point the first game. So yeah. So it's nice to have a game which I've played a lot and I can still only just scrape a win at occasionally.
Cool. Xate, what about you?
Saturday, I played Terraforming Mars for the first time digitally, since I can't find anyone to play with me in real life. So I finally got a game in digitally. So if anyone is up for digital Terraforming Mars, I'd love to try that again. And I finally won. It's one of those games. I've loved it for years. I've only played it 4 or 5 times because no one will play it with me, and I had never won before. And I played someone who's better than me at it, and I beat him by 2 points. And I was very, very proud of that. Yeah. And then last night we played Cartographers over Twitch on Mark People's stream, which was really fun. And then on Lizapalooza, we did Camel Down Up Force, which is a wacky party game styled mashup of Camel Up and Down Force, where the camels are racing on the racetrack and they're doing the jumps that the race cars would do, and they're stacking like camels would do. And it's absolute chaos. It's hilarious. It's not really a game. It's more of just funny. But yeah.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
Less of a game, more of an experience. I should give that a shot.
E for Camel 4 says Aquila, and Maya says they also played Terraforming Mars and won recently. Mine was by a tiebreaker.
I lost, by the way. I did lose. I will say I did lose. Charlie won. Well done, Charlie.
we assumed that, Alan.
Into the main topic, and I'd like to remind everyone to feel free to comment, ask questions, follow. And the main topic is the Essen Digital debrief, as you've been seeing on the bottom there. So with all these wonderful people. And we're basically going to chat about it from the perspective of publishers. Now, I'm going to admit that I wasn't really personally able to engage a lot. I didn't have a digital stand, and I find online conventions a little bit taxing, let's say, personally. I find that they take a lot of energy away, and I struggled a little bit with the registration, and then I gave up very quickly, I'm not going to lie. And so, but that was entirely on me. So let's talk about some people who were there for the purposes of showing off stuff. And I'd like to chat about, firstly, getting back into who you are and what were you trying to do and how did you prepare? Like, what were you actually trying to show off? Let's start with Michael.
So obviously my day job is with Hub Games. We had Prisma Arena launching. Officially comes out on November the 13th, but it's going to be, it would have been our big Essen game if the show had gone ahead physically. On top of that, we also had Adventure Mart, which would have been like the first time anybody in Germany would have seen it. And we were also promoting a release for 2021 called Combo Clash. So the idea was very much sort of like push the game that we've just put out, push the game that we're just about to release, and then push our first game for next year. So yeah, it was a very sort of like simple approach that we were trying to take, because we've done a lot of digital conventions this year. We were actually like one of the first companies to just sort of like, take digital touring on the road, essentially. The moment, before lockdown was even announced, we were doing like a Hub Games digital tour, just stopping virtually at game stores around the world, just to show off our games and things. But then we did, obviously, UK Games Expo, we did Gen Con, we've done a lot of online events. And we've noticed that complexity was not good. Keeping it simple was the way to go. So that's what we wanted to do for Spiel Digital.
Yeah. I am, as I said before, a newbie. I'm releasing my first game on Kickstarter, and I was at Essen in the prototype gallery showing my game there. I was like not expecting anything at all because it was my first time ever at Essen, at Spiel. The last time I heard about Essen was I wasn't like ready to publish Logo Dash. Was still a prototype and was not actually a working game yet. So I was not very aware how I was supposed to, I don't know, do this stuff there. So I was mostly relying on the Brazilian community of the designers that were in the prototype gallery. They were massive Brazilian presence. Although I was the only woman with a prototype there, that caught the attention of many bloggers in Brazil, and I get to know a bit of board game media in Brazil and so on. But I was quite expecting that I was going to get some opportunity to talk to publishers and get some interactions. And I don't know, I didn't get many replies. I was mostly ghosted. And I don't know if it's because of the event being online, as Michael said, the dynamics are different. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I cannot compare this to anything because Gen Con was completely different from Essen, and also I didn't pay for my present at Gen Con, and for Essen I did. And I was expecting to have more attention.
Just to your preparations and stuff before the show.
The things I was doing the Kickstarter, and my preparation was kind of asking everyone like, what is it supposed to be? I was expecting this to be a little closer to what Gen Con was, and then I realized it wasn't, and I was pretty much lost.
Alan.
Yes. Well, we were promoting these two games here, Ming, Voyages, and March Progress. Sorry, yeah, which were launched in our Kickstarter earlier in the year, and we had them at Virtually Expo as well. We, unlike Michael, we hadn't done a lot of digital stuff. Basically, we're not very good at the social media marketing stuff, really. But we had done Virtually Expo. And we learned a lot from that. We learned from Virtually Expo that really digital is entirely different from physical. Our commercial hopes in terms of direct sales were very, very low because our Virtual Expo didn't really make much from our sales, but it's a marketing opportunity really. So we planned a whole range of live streams. So we got lots of people to talk to us, including Michael, although that was a slightly unplanned one. And we had a range of videos, unboxing videos. So when people were approached to kind of look at stuff, we wanted to make sure they had stuff to look at without us having to actually be there. And we ran our own Discord server because we had that set up for Virtual Expo. We stuck these games onto Tabletopia free, so they're freely available to play on Tabletopia. In fact, they still are. We hadn't really got an expectation of what our audience would be. We just were kind of hopeful that people would look at our stuff. And occasionally talk to us. But we had reasonable audiences for the live streams. We'll come back to that, I guess. So our prep was mainly getting guests on the live streams, making sure we had lots of things that people could look at when they came to the stand without actually having to interact directly with people, with us. Now, that's not because we didn't want to, but it's usually because relatively few people would, for a small company, go to our Discord server because there's technical barriers to that. We'll go into that later.
And Xate.
I didn't personally have very much to do with the setup leading towards Essen Spiel. I was really, really sick. So I just kind of participated where I could, but our team put a lot of effort into restructuring our Discord, for one thing, getting it even more user-friendly, adding more channels where we could demo our games with audio chat going along with that, getting it set up. And we got ready to present not only the games we already have out that we've localized, Die Dame und der Tiger, Kräutergarten, also in Dutch, that's herbaceous. We did it in Dutch and German, Root, and also getting ready for some Twitch streams that we did during Spiel Digital, where we did playthroughs and also did announcements. And one of the biggest announcements being that we did win the Inno Spiel 2020, as you see there, for Root, along with Leader Games. And also that we are doing the German localization for Underworld, the new the expansion that people have been very excited to hear coming in German. So we got a lot of press going around that and getting people, interested in that and providing information about what that's going to be, that we're doing it, So that was our big thing.
I just want to take a quick moment to acknowledge, firstly, the confusion of some people who are maybe not so familiar with board games. Spiel is the biggest board game convention in the world. Even people who sometimes play lots of board games might not know this. And so obviously, due to the pandemic, you can't have 200,000 people in a massive hall going round and literally jostling through it. That's just not a good thing. And so there was a digital thing. Yes, and Spiel does mean play. It also means game. So is my understanding. So eine Spiel und wir Spiel. Is that correct, Xate?
Yeah, wir spielen. Spielen is the verb to play. Basically, it gets called Spiel in English, which is the short form of Spielemesse, which means games convention. So you're just calling it games instead of games convention. But that's fine. We know what you mean.
It isn't the full words like Spielemesse mit Comic Action?
It's very likely.
It is, yeah.
But I don't like comics, so I'll just ignore that part. No, just kidding.
Man, prejudice against comics.
Dude.
I will not stand for this.
No, I'm used to how English native speakers talk about Spiel. So even in German communities, it often just gets called Spiel or Essen. So.
And it's called Essen quite often because it runs in the relatively small city of Essen, which is best known for having a very big convention hall. Let's be honest. Alex says Spiel went less well than some online conventions, but maybe that's down to the raised expectations because you're expecting so much from the world's biggest game convention. Yeah. Because, Gen Con and Spiel argue about who's bigger. Let's not get into that. And Alex says, yeah, kudos to the interview series that you had with Ben Maddox, of course, with Surprise Terror Games. And actually, Quality Beast Games says it's officially called Internationale Spieltage.
I like the will actually there. Excuse me, I think you'll find. it's die internationale Spieltage. Nicely
Okay,
done,
so
Quality
all
Beast.
this Spielmesse and comic action, that's just colloquialisms. I'm going. You don't need to quibble about. This isn't about the history of Spiel or what's gone on. It's about this particular iteration of it. So it sounds like people were primarily, let's be honest, hoping to promote their game, to sell games, and to get more Kickstarter backers. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yep.
And build community.
Okay.
I think the build community is quite important.
Yes.
Yeah, not for the prototype gallery, but unfortunately I learned this too late.
So we've already talked about, let me shuffle the order slightly. We've already talked about Ben Maddox's thing, but what did you feel you did well, personally? Alan, anything to add?
Personally, well, since I haven't done very many live streams, I felt the live streams went quite well. I mean, I think that, bearing in mind that the only the live streams I've done with Bears is my first introduction to them, and I did some playthroughs or demos for Virtually Expo, which I think one of the 4 went okay, and the others were pretty rubbish. But I think the live streams that we did, I think were pretty good. We got a range of guests on talking about game design and things, which I think were interesting. Yeah, I was quite pleased with those went, and I think the audience numbers, although not hundreds, were okay. I think it was I think that bit I was very pleased with, and really, in a sense, once we'd done all the setup, that was the main thing. So I think we did something like a dozen live streams during the 4 days.
Wow.
There's not a lot of time for anything else, really. So yeah, that was the highlight. That was the thing that went best, I think, from my point of view. Yeah, and we did a whole series on the history of Surprise Dare with Ben Maddox chairing, and that's all available on YouTube. And the other advantage, of course, of live streams is you're automatically generating content that you can reuse, which is fabulous. So if you want to go and look at those, you can. That was good. Very pleased with that.
Xate, what did you personally, or on behalf of Quality Beast, what do you think went well?
I guess personally, that I was even able to be there was, for me, a success. I was super sick with that little virus thingy, and if it had been an actual convention physically present, I would not have been able to be there at all and participate at all. Oh gosh, am I gone? Am I here?
No, you're here.
No.
And just being able to be there was good for me. And I think our team did an amazing job. Just, working with each other, making sure everybody had breaks when they needed breaks, making sure there was someone in our Discord, talking to new people, hanging out. I think we did a really good job starting to build our Discord community there over Spiel, and I'm hoping that it continues from there, that moving forward, that we're going to be able to just keep that going, hang out with the people who like our games. So
nice.
Michael?
I think I'll probably echo what Alan said as well. Basically, most of our weekend was taken up with doing live streams. Not that we were planning on doing that. Obviously, we were hoping that we were going to be running a lot of demos and cool stuff. Rory is currently live right now over on the Hub Game stream doing his Untold versus Prismarina story world building. So that's why you can see that running over there. So yeah, we ended up doing a lot of streams, which was cool. Because, we want our games to be as accessible as possible. We wanted to get as many avenues and ways of describing them and showing them to people as we could. And the live streams, I think, not just for us, but across the board, were pretty positive for a vast majority of different publishers. And of course, like the content creator streams as well were super popular as well over the weekend, which was great to see.
So you got did you hire people to make streams for you when you talk about content creator streams? Do you want to talk a bit more about that at all?
No. So it was basically myself and Rory for the entire 4 days of the weekend, with Rich, who sort of like handles our sales, as well as handles sales for a couple of other companies like Hush Hush, who do Fog of Love, and Floodgate, who do like Sagrada, etc., etc. So yeah, it was basically the whole weekend of me and him jumping on to our own Twitch channel every once in a while, or jumping on together and playing with people who were around. And yeah, as you can see, as Alan mentioned, it was great, just sort of like, because they are all automatically uploaded onto the Hub Games channel. So it's just like lots and lots and lots of new stuff for people to watch.
Ours was similar. It was mainly myself and Tony, who were doing our streams. Yeah, and it's getting the extra content, which is good, so people can go. I think somebody said that you may get a relatively small live audience, but videos, people look at it later on.
Yeah,
go back and have peruse at leisure, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's that long tail thing, which is super useful. You know, once a video's up on YouTube, it's pretty much there forever. So even if somebody's just got it like on in the background 3 weeks later, they're still interacting, they're still digesting the stuff that you've been talking about. So yeah, it was cool. Tali, what about you?
I wish I had more experience, but to be honest, it was very good for one thing that I'm really working hard, which is releasing Dogo Dash in Brazil, where I come from, because the prices on Kickstarter are very, very, very high for Brazilian now. Like the exchange is like unbreakable, and I'm really sad that like I spent 30 years of my life in Brazil, like most of my life, and to be not being able to sell my game in Brazil was like making me really sad. And during Spiel, I get to talk to many Brazilian publishers, Brazilian bloggers, and I did a lot of live streaming. I played my game more than 20 hours in 3 days. It was like crazy. Alone, I was doing everything by myself for Spiel. And it was great because then now I get the answers and the hope that it's going to happen. So it was very good in this aspect for me.
Cool.
And I see you joined. I wasn't able to get it up very quickly, but you joined Yoga Dois. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. For a playthrough, which I'm glad that it went well for you. And staying on the personal, and before we kind of talk about the stuff done by Spiel Verlag, if we can talk about what personal lessons there were, and could we have done certain things better? Let's go from Alan again.
Right. I think that the area that we need to address, and I've spoken to a few people about this, is being much more proactive about building the community. I'm obliged personally, I'm not very good at that yet. And so I need to do more about that. Working out how to do that at Spiel Digital was quite difficult because you're reliant on people coming. People have to go through several different hurdles. They have to go to your stand to start with, and with the small stands, you're not getting the exposure. They have to then click on stuff. So they have to go to our Discord server to talk to us. And very, very few people did that, often because of the technical hurdles. For example, the only demo I did over the whole show was to a friend of ours. And because he was running Linux, he actually had like a quarter of an hour before he could get onto the Tabletopia thing properly. So I mean, he's techie, so he was happy to do all that, but it does mean that those technical barriers can be a big turn off for a lot of casual people who might well be interested in the game, but they've got to do lots of things which they're not accustomed to doing. If they go to a stand physically, they just talk to us. It's easy. But the whole of that metaphor didn't work very well for us. But I think so. That's the lesson I take away from it is we have to be more proactive about going out. I think so. I don't know what going out quite means. Maybe getting on other people's live streams. Mixing more somehow would be good. That's my biggest takeaway. We didn't have many people using Tabletopia. The free we made the games free, but the trouble is they have to know that they're there before they can access them, and that's a tricky thing to get across. Also, just as a quickie, it would have been really good to have had some feedback from Spiel about how much the stand was accessed by people. What are the volumes of people looking at the stand? How many people looked at videos? Those kinds of pieces of information were really important, and we haven't got any of that detail. I say yet. I'm not sure if we're going to get it, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. More metrics and information is always a good thing. But if we can keep it focused on ourselves, and if you want to say I did everything perfectly, and if I couldn't have possibly done a better job, that's totally fair. So, Xate, are you that mythological unicorn who did everything perfectly?
Absolutely. I mean, I am perfect. Unfortunately, my computer has some technological issues and doesn't always want to do everything that it should. I mean, that's not my fault. But I mean, moving forward, my computer could do a lot to improve our streaming ability. Just kidding. One of the issues that I ran into personally that others in my team didn't have was when we did Discord, we were playing the games on Tabletop Simulator with people who wanted to have a demo, and we were also streaming them in Discord so that if other people didn't have Tabletop Simulator, they could come into the stream, they could do the audio chat with us, or they could just watch the video, and they could still be part of the experience, kind of like standing over someone's shoulder at a real convention. Okay, so I'm not sitting at the table, I'm not playing the game, but I'm still there, I'm around, I'm seeing it. But my computer was having difficulties doing this, so about 50% of the time, people could actually see what I was demoing, and maybe 50% of the time not. And I'm being generous saying 50%. It was more like 20% they could see what I was actually doing. So I was relying on people actually having Tabletop Simulator in order for me to be able to personally demo anything. And that's the main thing I was there to do, was demo. And it's really inconvenient because if you're just walking around Spiel, you don't have to pay, it was on sale. Tabletop Simulator was down to $9.99, I think, for that weekend. But still, someone sits down at your table, you don't say, okay, can I have $9.99, please, so that I can show you a demo of this game that you may or may not be interested in after I do so, that you can then also go, they could buy the digital version of our games for less money than that in a lot of the instances. So it's kind of like, well, that's inconvenient. It would be a lot better if I was able to actually do the stream, actually show what I was doing to people. And we also ran into it with our Dutch translator came in to do a Dutch stream and teach Kruidergaten in Dutch on Sunday, and he couldn't get his computer logged into the Discord, and so he was on his phone. So we had his computer was doing Tabletop Simulator and playing the actual game. So if anyone came in, they could go play Tabletop Simulator with him in the game, but he was on his phone using Discord for so it got into this really weird situation of just needing two people to actually be in the channel in order to show anybody anything. And it just, but yeah, that was the main issue I ran into, was tech. And the other thing is just scheduling. I don't know if it was just me at Spiel or if it was other people, but at all the other digital conventions I've gone to, it has been a little bit clearer. There's been some kind of overview somehow that I could go down hour by hour and actually know who's doing what now, where is it, and how do I get there very quickly. Shelf-a-palooza, you just look at the timeline, you click the link, you go there. And at Spiel Digital, it's like this thing. You're just like, I wanted to go see that game.
Keep it based on us rather than Spiel for the moment.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think people knew how to get to me. So I'd be like, come see my demo. And they'd be like, where? When? How?
Yeah, same.
It sounds like, in retrospect, with hindsight, knowing that what you're saying is that because there wasn't a great schedule, you in retrospect, you could have compensated for that by promoting your own schedule a bit more, maybe.
Yeah, I don't feel like any of the companies did that much personal promo until actually Spiel started. I think maybe we all needed to do more in advance of the digital that we didn't need to do in advance of a physical. I mean, there was no pre-Essen hype this year.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And going back to the technical issues that you say, do you think that with a bit more preparation and testing these things, you would have been able to solve these issues?
Well, for me, it would have been just needing a new computer. But I think in general, yeah, getting the word out to more people about Tabletop Simulator in advance so that more people come in knowing that that's a thing companies use. Maybe seeing if there's a way to get more of the games on both Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia, so the person coming in could choose the platform, not the company. You know, maybe if there's a way to get an agreement going for such big conventions that Tabletop Simulator maybe says, okay, fine, free trial weekend. No one has to pay this weekend. You know, if there's just different things that would maybe make that tech barrier lower, but I think that's more on the organization than on the personal or company level. I don't think those are things each company can feasibly take care of.
And speaking of promoting yourself, I'm going to do a cheeky plug to say, go to my Discord, stuffwithbez.com/Discord. And again, Jess, why aren't you in my Discord? Although, yeah. But Michael, so like Bez's self-promotion aside, what do you think that you could have personally, or Rory, or anyone else parts of Hub Games could have done better? Michael, sorry, unmute yourself.
As you muted me.
You could have unmuted yourself.
I couldn't. If the host mutes the mic, I can't unmute it.
Really?
So, yeah, I was there in silence. Yeah.
Are you sure? Did you try clicking the button?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I feel very abandoned, but I'm fine. Sorry. So personal lessons that could have been learned, I guess, are the same lessons that we could have learned from UK Games Expo, that we could have learned from Gen Con, in that I always forget how many hoops need to be jumped through by the person who is actively looking for your game to play. And both Alan and Xate have both, mentioned them. Whether it's registering on the site, whether it's learning how to use Discord for the first time, because a lot of people were first timers over this weekend. Whether it's using a virtual platform like Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, and of course, because both of them are very similar but different. A shortcut in one doesn't work in another. The UI in one isn't the same as the other, that sort of thing. It's actually, it's kind of what Quality Beast says there. The needs of the people completely change. And it's not just the people who are coming to play with us, it's also the people who are doing the demoing. So yeah, a lesson that I probably should have maybe been a bit more aware of is the fact that because Spiel is very much it's our biggest event. It's a worldwide event. We very much stuck to the European hours, but there was, of course, a significant chunk of the audience are, from the States. Looking at the numbers that Spiel have actually released, we don't know exactly how much of them came from the States, but I'm going to assume it was like at least 30-40%, because, that's a major gaming market. But, there's only so many hours in the day. If we're working 12 hours anyway, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, maybe a little bit less on the Sunday, I can't stay up another 4 or 8 online just so I can make sure that I cover the whole audience. It would be nice if we had more people, but it was just me and Rory for the weekend. Aquasulas has just mentioned something in the chat. Not that one, the one underneath. stay tuned. Just going to say that. Stay tuned. But yeah, lessons-wise, I think we did a lot of good. I think if we had more people, we could have sort of like spread out to the US audience. But yeah, this was basically a 96-hour extravaganza, and conventions are tiring at the best of times. Yeah, I'm at home. Yeah, I get to sleep in my own bed. I get to eat food and everything from my own kitchen. But good Lord, they're still tiring. And I always forget how tiring a convention can be.
Especially doing online stuff all the time.
Yeah.
More tiring than doing it face to face.
Yeah.
I found, yeah.
It engages a completely different set of skills, a completely different set of abilities, whole different sectors of your brain, and you're juggling so many different things, as opposed to just, hey, I'm here, sat at my booth. Please come and look at my game, and then demoing it. It's like, okay, I need to manage this. I need to manage the Discord. I need to make sure that Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia are both good. I need to be a host on the live streams at the same time. Yeah, it's a whole new world. So there you go. Tally, take over.
I got so exhausted because first, I didn't have the experience. Second, I learned that prototype gallery was only visible for business and not for media, not for the general public. And when I learned this, I was very upset because I was like, oh my God, I'm just showing for publishers and they are all trying like yourselves, showing their games to people. They're not going to look at us. And I got a bit desperate. I tried to find solutions. Luckily, I had a Brazilian pavilion, which had, they had like a stand in the public area. So I had a table there, like a virtual table, and I was playing on their Discord. So at the end of the day, my experience at Spiel was mostly dealing with Brazil and Brazilian influencers, media, publishers, blah, blah, blah. So it would be much worth to do an event in Brazil specifically, because I didn't get the internationality and the broadness of Spiel in my experience. It was good because we got very tight, like the Brazilian community, we got very well together. We had a conversation about Spiel, like the game designers, they were mostly in the prototype gallery. And we had a live streaming on the weekend about it, about how we learned from this and how we were pioneers in the prototype gallery, because I'm very sure that after this next one, like if there is a next one online, I think they are going to do something a bit differently, especially in the prototype gallery.
And Mai asks, why were the prototypes private?
I don't know. I have no idea.
And what exactly do you mean by that?
I can answer that. It's because the prototype area was a cheap way of getting a presence. And for example, we would have been quite happy to have had a prototype table if it could have been visible to everybody, because it was much, much cheaper than having a stand. Because we were trying to, if you're trying to just promote one or two products, having a prototype table was much more cost effective. But they made it only businesses, so you could. So basically, prototypes were only for designers trying to interface with publishers, not for anything else. It was just for pitching.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
It was only for pitching. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's why it was cheap. That's why it was cheap.
But the thing is, even for pitching was not very effective, since everyone else was interested in getting people to play their own games. So it was a very, I don't know, like a very strange experience for me. As I said, I wish I had more experience. I'm learning a lot from this. I thought I gave my best, and I contacted the most people I could. I wrote also media to tell them about the Dogo Dash, and the prototype gallery is now public. Now everyone can access it after the event. So it's still going on, but now it's more visible, although the event is not there anymore. But I invested what I could in my game. Like if I could pay for the exhibitor, I would, but unfortunately it's not possible. Like I don't have the budget. I'm not a company. I'm just a person, just a designer with a game on Kickstarter. And I thought that it would be a good way of showing my game to different audiences, or maybe to different publishers that would be interested. But at the end, I got attention from the Brazilian publisher, which was very good. But I contacted publishers from other parts of the world. For example, I have a very huge interest in releasing my game in the US and Canada, because also the shipping prices are so high there. It's very difficult for people out of Europe to get a copy of the game. And me as a person, I try my best to find the best shipping option, but it's still like very expensive, and I wish I could have find partners to help me afford it. And it was kind of like my business focus during Spiel, but yeah, like I would say that it was 50% good, 50% bad for me personally.
I'm sensing a lot of frustration from you, and I get the impression that with everyone there is a lot that was out with your control. I want to note that Alex and Maya are suggesting that things like the notion of what this prototype gallery is could have been made a bit clearer to punters. And I'm just going to flag up this thing whilst I would like to talk about, address Alex's and Alan's questions, which was about sales, if you're willing to divulge that. Obviously, for Tally, this is going to be quite hard. So I'm going to reorder you. There we go, just randomly. And Alan in chat a while back asked if we had sold more than, or if people had sold more than usual. And Alex asks, did you feel that Spiel was good value for money? So can we just get an analysis? And hello, Paul. It's lovely to see you. We're just now kind of finishing off the personal thing before we start talking about Spiel itself. So personally, how did it go? And would you do it again? Did you get more sales or Kickstarter backers? Let's start with Tally.
No. I didn't get more sales. It didn't had a big change in my metrics at all. So for the broad audience, it was like not very worth it. But for the publisher side, in Brazilian specifically, it was very good. And it was very good for the connection with the other Brazilian game designers and authors and media. So like in this aspect was very nice. But I didn't get any deal yet. Like I'm talking to some publishers, but I hope I get a deal soon. So maybe we will hear good news. But at the moment, no, nothing to tell.
So with the benefits of hindsight, let's imagine you were a time traveler. So thought experiment. If you were transported back to when you had to pay the money for Spiel, would you have paid that? And I know, Xate, you didn't necessarily make that decision, but Tally, would you have done it again?
I would ask for a discount because I don't think this. I don't know. I think that is not comparable to the live event. Although I never been to the analog event, so I would. I would rather like think twice because the pricing was a bit salty. But as I said, I'm just a person, not a company. So for me, it was very, very expensive.
Michael.
It sucked. It was very bad. It was the worst sales that we've had from any online convention ever. Yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And I have no idea how we could have improved it. Not at all. Yeah. Oh God, Em's here. Hi, Em.
Hello, Emma. Xate, Michael.
So yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I don't know how much I could reinforce the fact that the sails were through the floor. Forget through the floor, they had dug through the Earth's crust and headed towards the roiling metal innards of the planet. I honestly don't think we even made our money back from the cost of the booth. It was, from a publisher point of view, yeah, Paul knows exactly how I feel. Like, so there were some really, really positive things. The streams were fantastic, especially the content creator streams. I was super impressed at how those were going. But if you don't have game publishers selling their games, you don't have content for the streams. That's my problem. And it was really, really, really dreadful. There was a lack of communication. There was a lack of ability to publicize. There was little to no return on investment. And if we were doing our theoretical, hey, time traveler Michael, get in your DeLorean and go back to May when all this was organized, I would probably have just slapped myself in the head and gone, don't do this. Because literally everything that you do, you can do yourself outside of the Spiel bubble, because it will not be worth it. Okay, so Mersverlag pitched this to us in May, I believe it was. They were sort of like saying, hey, so this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to have like a virtual thing and people will be able to like travel around it, and there'll be like heat maps and you'll see which are the busy things and which are the busy areas and which are the games that are getting hype and everything like that. I was like, fantastic, nicely done, good stuff. Looking forward to that. We didn't then see anything until the day before release. The site went live and it was like, okay, this is it. Here you go. This is how it's going to work. And it's like, okay, so apparently we're in space on an ever-moving space station where the booths are going to change their locations every hour or 2 hours. So even if you do want to sort of like methodically work your way through the booths in an area, you will not be able to find going back to the same place because your booth will never be in the same location twice. Also, if you go wide, you won't be able to see a damn thing unless you're one of the bigger publishers. So yeah, it's, oh God, it was awful. It was, yeah. I hate to, I know that it's like, you know, hey, people worked hard on this. It's just like, yeah, people work hard on a lot of things, but I don't feel that there was any consultation with, hey, you as a games publisher, what do you want to see from this event? What can we do to make this event good so you can publicize your games? Because that's what Spiel Messe is. It is a trade show where we as publishers get to publicize our games. And I guarantee that more people know the stuff that all of us, the Quality Beast, the Surprise Stare, the Hub Games, the Tally doing Doggo Dash, more people know more about our games from us farting about on Twitter than anything that happened in Spiel Messe. Because Spiel Digital was not good. I mean, yeah, it was pretty. It looked okay. But it sort of sucks that no convention has learned any lessons from any other previous conventions. There's no collective, hey, Gen Con, how did you all do this? Or, hey, UK Games Expo, how did you do this? Each convention did something good. But none of them have managed to sort of like pull it all together into one cohesive thing where it just works for everybody, where it works for the publishers, where it works for the organizers, where it works for the people who are coming to play. Spiel Digital is not, or sorry, was not a show for sales. Spiel Digital was a show for content. That's probably the best I could say. Our sales sucked. I will happily say that, or rather unhappily say that, because they sucked. We worked an awful lot. I personally worked an awful lot in the lead up, trying to make sure that everything was cool. The only positive that we got from it was running a whole load of live streams when really we should have been demoing to people on the booth, but nobody knew. You know, there was no communication. It was very hard to try and find.
Put a pin in this and come back to it. Alan, would you do it again? Did you have any sales?
Sales were absolutely minimal. I mean, I'd echo what Michael said largely. It was as a show for sales, and as a small English or a small UK company, as a show for marketing, it was pretty much uniformly awful. I say as a small English company, I think the difficulty, and I'm trying to be positive about this, is the difficulty with Spiel Digital as it was put forward was that you couldn't just walk around the hall and see everything that was there. You had to actually choose to click on things, and that meant, and also the heat maps. The heat maps meant that something that was popular would get more popular. Something that was being ignored would continue to be ignored. So that whole you can see who is crowding around the most popular stands thing is really, really bad. Admittedly, you can see that at Essen, but what happens at Essen, if there's loads and loads and loads of people crowding around the stand, people have to go somewhere else because there's no freaking room. So people will automatically fan out and go to other places. The metaphor, I'm echoing what Michael said a lot. The metaphor that they used for the user interface was entirely wrong. It was awful. I don't know who they had on the user interface design, but you can't just reflect. I thought they would have learned from Virtual Expo. You can't just reflect a physical con and have that in a virtual space. Okay, they didn't do what Virtual Expo did, which was to have columns of booths, and you just wander around like an actual con. But the space metaphor was terrible, and the criticism a lot of us had of Virtual Expo was that things would always reshuffle when you went back, so you never knew where anything was. That immediately breaks the metaphor of a physical con, even if you're using it, because things in a physical con don't move around. And also, they're using a space metaphor. You know something? Planets don't move around either. They don't move from one solar system to another freaking solar system. They stay where they are. So the physical con metaphor was wrong. Their own space metaphor was automatically undermined. I can't stress how much the metaphor, the UI, was terrible. It was, I know, and you've got to recognize they managed to do move. They go in orbit, but they didn't orbit. They just moved to different parts of the galaxy, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
anyway,
they teleported randomly.
They teleported, but they did something in a very short period of time, and there were going to be mistakes, and I recognize that, and I think both Virtual Expo and Spiel Digital, people who did what they did, they made the best of what they could do. Okay, we could hope that they might make a bit of a better fist of it for Spiel Digital, and perhaps we'll get on to what they might have done later on. But I would say that, however, that I think that a lot of German companies had a very positive fair, especially large German companies. The Spiel Digital, like Virtual Expo, had their own streaming, so they had centralized streaming, but it was in German. So the German audience would find out about things from the German Spiel Digital live streams themselves, and then go to places. The large German companies would get a lot of trade, because I suspect that the audience that was getting heavily involved and most engaged was probably a German one. I think that probably English and American, UK and American and English speaking might not have been quite so engaged. And also big companies would have had a reasonable time of it. So just from the perspective of a small UK publisher, I would say it was not something I think I would not do it again. If I went back in the time machine, you want me to pay 600 euros for this, I would say, no, I don't want to do that. But I would be quite prepared to reconsider that when we as a company are much more engaged in digital ourselves, and we've got social media stuff sorted out. And if they sort out how we get exposure, that's the thing. We didn't get, well, as Michael said, we didn't get exposure, really. We didn't. People couldn't find us. That's a real trouble. So no, we didn't make many sales at all. Yeah, we've. Paul has just mentioned Ignacie's article. Ignacie was very positive. I think that that's because of how he was approaching it as an individual. I think, and he was approaching it as an individual, and you could certainly go around and search for things that you already knew about and find them. So if you do that approach, you say, right, I've got a list of 20 games I want to have a look at. You can go and look them up and find them. What you can't do is find things that aren't on your list very easily at all. It's really very difficult. And who's going to go to a small, relatively unknown company and go to their stand, read all the stuff, click on their videos, and then go to their Discord server on the off chance, because it could take you a quarter of an hour to do that kind of thing, and you're not going to be able to do that for 400 stands. It's just not practical. So
I know Alex mentioned potentially having a limit on how many people can be at a virtual booth, but that seems terrible. That seems like people are just going to be frustrated. That's, oh my god, I can only have 1,000 people watching this Twitch stream, and how would you even do that? Because people aren't doing things via that medium. Yeah. So
this could be easily solved with a schedule, as I think Michael mentioned, or Alan. Like this could be easily solved with a schedule of what's going on.
Schedule was very, very
deep
important.
into the criticisms. Xate, do you want to echo anything from your boss?
Oh yeah, I have all my own thoughts completely thought out, and these are totally not Dylan in the chat. Just kidding. No, but as Quality Beast, we do feel bad for the companies that are trying to organize these events like Spiel Digital, because we know that they care and they have the burden of delivering something that's new and difficult to do, because they're trying to present not only something that's good for the publishers, but also for the people who are attending, and also sustaining their own business. So it's a tough challenge for them, and they're trying to pivot quickly. And Dylan actually knows a lot about other industries that have done different types of online events as well. He says, like, the mechanical keyboard enthusiast world, for example, does really, really cool online events. And there are things that we can learn, maybe if the board gaming industry is able to take a step back from itself and maybe look at some of these other industries and how they're doing their online events, because especially these technical industries have already been plugged in more to the virtual scene longer, and maybe have ideas that we could use to make online board gaming conventions better in the future. For us as Quality Beast, Spiel Digital did go pretty well. I'm sure it helped that we won the InnoSpiel with Root. That got our name out there a lot. But it wasn't so much about the business side, about just meeting our numbers. Yeah, that worked out for our company. But for us, it's more about the awareness of our community, getting out there, having people know about our games, having them see, like, hey, there's Root, and it's in German, and you can play it, and hey, there is Kräutergarten, it's herbaceous, but it's in German, and you can have it. And we have other games coming, and it's about, letting them know we have a Discord server, come in, play games with us. And it's, I think like what several other people already said, it's not shutting down after Spiel. We have our Discord server. We're on there every day. You can come on and chat with us, post pictures, talk about board games, talk about our board games, get demos, play games. And that's what it's more about for us. We got hundreds of new people during Spiel. We're hoping that that continues, and that would be what we would hope to see from the digital events, is that they don't stay at just this weekend, but that the content, like Michael was saying, that the content can be watched later by other people, that the Discord servers are still around, that people can come in and still have that community atmosphere. And I did see another comment, someone talking about the added FOMO of knowing that all of this is still out there. I thought that was a really interesting comment also. Yeah, but we're hoping that that actually works to our advantage. So we are still there. Please come by, see us at Quality Beast on our Discord, play our games. We hope you don't feel like you're missing out because we're there. We hope that it can be a bonus and that people can see this as like a benefit to the digital events, is that they go on beyond that weekend.
I mean, an interesting thing is that even in real life, you know, all these games still exist because it's meant to be all about the games.
Yeah.
And I look to my left, and I've still got Holding On. I've still got also APEP, which is from the publishers of Glory to Rome. It's a slightly lesser known game. Not that. I'll probably get rid of it. Yeah, and lots of games that aren't from like this year at all. I mean, Photosynthesis, how old is that? And we can still enjoy it. And if it is all about these games, I mean, maybe this is an opportunity to actually break away from the cult of the new. I don't know. Michael, you've got a point?
If I could jump in for a second, I think the major issue is, what do we go to conventions for? We go to conventions for the games. And every convention that we've had that's pivoted to online, the major conventions, if I may say that, just to clarify it, every convention puts the focus on publishers. And how many games do you know for an average gamer where they could actively tell you the name of the publisher?
Yeah.
So what I would like to see is much more of a focus on, it's much more eye-catching to have the cover of a game up there front and center rather than, for example, the Hub Games logo or, you know, the Stuff by Bez logo. The game's what people are excited about. People generally don't care about the publishers. So if we're going to keep on doing this into 2021, we need to, I think we need to shift to a focus on the games. Because yeah, Xate, you said yourself, there was no hype this year. Like there was no, normally like I'm clicking through 10, 20, 30, 40 pages of stuff on Board Game Geek going, holy crap, I'm really interested in that. I'm interested in that. Yeah, that one less so, blah, blah, blah. Didn't do that this year because it just didn't exist. There was no hype because the focus is publisher focused instead of game focused.
Can I reinforce? Can I reinforce that one? Sorry, Xate. I think it's interesting. See, Spiel Digital was supposed to be all about new releases, so you have to be able to find the new releases, and it's new releases that aren't necessarily the ones that everybody knows about that you need to be able to find as well. And you can learn easily from places like Amazon, places like Netflix. They're all about they never say on Amazon who, well, they do obviously, they say who produces the product, but that's really incidental. Nobody buys something from Amazon because necessarily,
oh my God, it's Penguin Books, my favorite publisher.
Exactly. They just don't do that. So it needs to be, it's the connections between the new releases. So for example, if you've got a solo game like we happen to have, you could have, like, if you like this type of game, you might like these solo games which are similar. You know, those kinds of things would be really the way to go. In other words, it's helping people to find things that they'd be interested in.
I mean, sorry, Xate, did you have something to say on this particular point?
Yeah, like when I go to Essen in real life or any other convention, there's so much hype beforehand that I start making lists. Like I take an actual paper list with me to Essen Spiel with the games I'm interested in, sorted by publisher. I don't look at the publisher and find out what games they're having. I hear, you know, Dice Tower talking about a game, or Hunter and Crone, or I read about it on a blog, and I know there's that game. There's the one with the obelisk. It's made by Tracy. Where do I find that game? And then I research the company, and then I go to see the game. And I couldn't do that at Spiel Digital because I was like, oh, I really want to go play the prototype of that game that I've seen hyped, you know, a few times. There are a few games I was actually excited about, and I knew the name of the game, sorta, like Tawa something, and I know who made it, but I didn't know what publisher, and I couldn't find it. And I think
the search field was very rudimentary, I would say. Like it could be.
That's very polite, Tally. It sucked.
I'm new in the industry. I have to be very careful.
And love to Paul, who's going off for a haircut. Take care of yourself. And yeah,
exactly, the booth number. Thank you. Usually, you know what game you want to see and exactly where to find it. We didn't have booth numbers.
Paul says there were lists. Paul did do a pre-Essen live show, the same as they would normally, but yeah, there is no booth number. And I think we've already touched upon a lot of this already, but I do want to make sure that we say, were there any successes and achievements from Spiel itself? Can we be positive at all? Michael, I challenge you.
Yeah, of course there's positives. I was incredibly, like I mentioned before, I was incredibly impressed at the way that a lot of content creators were so incredibly well organized and took on the lion's share of promoting stuff. Like Paul, for example, Gaming Rules was working like pretty much non-stop for 96 hours. Like, dude was wild. There was so many different sort of like streamers, whether they were English language, German, whatever. Like also loads and loads of other international streamers as well, all of whom were doing their best to sort of talk about the games that many of them had managed to get hold of in advance, because of course we wanted to promote the products that we wanted to do. So yeah, big shout out to all of the folks who were big shout out to all the folks who were sort of doing the live stream stuff, whether they were publishers or whether they were just content creators. Well, not just content creators, but whether they were content creators. But yeah, that was a good success. And Airfix seems to have not got, well, you could search by publisher. It's just like, no, we can't search by. Who makes Orleans? Go.
But the point is that you wouldn't, if you're going to write down the booth number and search for that booth number, wouldn't it be just as easy to search for the publisher?
No. Because I know where Hall 8 booth B26 is. I don't know where Board and Dice are. Because I haven't entered the thing yet.
Can I chip in? Things. I think the overall marketing and advertising that they did was fine, especially in Germany. I think it would be nice to have a German perspective on this, because I think it actually went quite well. I know Xate can do this, but I think it went well for Germany. Okay, you two are from you're in Germany, which is great, because they did Spiel Local, which was their they had some stores which were open where you could go and buy the new games, or at least look at the new games, and I think that was pretty good. But I'm not aware of any UK-based ones that did that, or American ones. Don't think there were any. And also, of course, you had to get hold of product. So maybe, but I'll stop and say, you can say something about.
I actually do know of a couple in Great Britain that did that as well, because through Lollapalooza, some of my friends were going to local events. But yeah, like in Leipzig, our Ludothek had an event. It had a lot of the new releases that would be there. Well, a lot, maybe 10 or something. There was the opportunity, but of course, it is still Corona, so you had to get a ticket and be there. But there were, in Germany, more options, I think, for a physical experience at Spiel, where you could go for a few hours someplace and actually try some of the games, if you were aware of it, if you lived near one, and if you were one of the lucky people who was able to get into the event. But yeah, I mean, and of course, that's not a problem related to Spiel Digital. That's just the world we're living in right now. You can't have it. And actually, that's something that's not just because of Spiel Digital either. That kind of event goes on even during Essen Spiel when it's happening physically. They still have these kind of events for people who do not travel to Essen. So that's really cool. And I do think that that's something that board gaming conventions should promote moving forward, even if they're digital or not digital. It's awesome just to be able to go and try a game locally. If you have kids, if you have trouble traveling, if you just don't want to deal with the crowds, it's always a great thing to promote. So yeah, they did do that for Spiel Digital, and that was really cool. So it wasn't maybe publicized quite as much as it could have been, but it was out there. I knew of it. Maybe some of you know of events near you. I knew there was at least one in Great Britain because a friend of mine went to one. So
yeah, I noticed that a lot of the positive reviews that there have been some positive reviews of Spiel Digital. When you dig a bit, you find those are by reviewers who got hold of copies physically and actually doing physical plays during Spiel Digital at their home. And I think it's interesting that they were having a positive experience because they were playing games, you know, they were playing games physically in their own homes and sharing. And I think that's, I mean, that's very ad hoc, and it's not, obviously I've done no surveys of it, but it just felt to me like the people who were being positive about it were the ones who were able to play physically, not necessarily just virtually.
And Sally, can you say anything positive?
Yeah. The Spiel Local was very interesting because in Brazil, what they did is like the board game stores hold also online events. Like they were having the games there at the store, like for limited public, but then they had online and they were playing prototypes, Brazilian prototypes there. A thing that didn't happen in Germany, for example. I didn't have any attention in German media, social media, influencer, micro-influencer, none. Just Hilko contacted me through Bess, so was not because of Spiel. And it was our first article in German ever for Dogodesha, a game made in Germany by a Brazilian girl. And what I think that they could have done also in Germany was like also to take advantage of this pandemic and made and hold also online events because this thing of playing the game in person is very cool, but it's also very limited due to pandemic. But the good thing is that I learned a lot from this experience, and it's very valuable. I met many amazing people, great people. I made great contacts, and I lost money, so it made me like be more aware for the next time. So I think for the learning was very good for me.
So we shouts out to Hub Games. The games I played at Hub Games were great. Now let's get into the issues and let's keep this brief. I would like to got two main questions from me, and we might not have time for many questions from the audience, for which I apologize. Alan in chat suggests, I just want to acknowledge this, having some sorts of FOMO thing going on, like a limited sale, which I guess is what you get from a Kickstarter or something like that. Does that need a convention? And that after this, I'm going to say, you know, what does this mean for the whole future of conventions? But before we talk about the future of digital conventions, that was actually meant to be a banner. Let's just say, yeah, what could have been improved for Spiel itself, Sally?
For Spiel itself, I think thinking more about UX first, and talk to the publishers and to the people in general. The prototype gallery people, like many of the designers, we made a feedback document, because we want Spiel to improve, and we believe that the digital version is going to move on despite the pandemic, because it works for many folks that cannot fly to Essen every year for many other reasons. And we gave the feedback. We are very united in our impressions. So I think it was positive. They changed some things, like they made the prototype gallery open now for everyone. And I hope that, they learn from their feedback. They get the feedback and they improve for the next one.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot to be learned, but we're never going to have it perfect. The real-life conventions are also not perfect, and it's really easy to overlook that right now. There's so many mistakes, even when we're doing things that we've been doing for decades. So just keep, listening to the feedback and implementing the things that can be implemented, as best as they can.
Alan.
Yeah, I think a complete release from the physical con metaphor, something completely different. I mean, and by that I mean a complete release from the time. Why 4 days? Doesn't need to be 4 days. Doesn't. it can be completely different. Admittedly, they are running the stands on anyway. Relate similar games to each other. So focus on the games, as we've already mentioned, focus on games, not publishers, and its connections between games. I like this, therefore I might like these things. English as well as German streams have a central log of all the streams, so you can see where you might want to listen to a stream. And I think the real biggie is how to address the personal. How do they address more the personal, getting people more involved in talking to each other? And I don't know that I've got no answer to that. I think the big technical barriers are things like you have to click on too many things and leap too many software hurdles to actually get to talk to people, and somehow there ought to be a better way of doing that.
Just a quick hello to, I think that's Uli.
Uli. Hi, Uli. Good to see you.
And yeah, the number of Discord groups can for sure be quite overwhelming. But Michael, before we talk about the future of digital conventions, which I think we should have a follow-up chat for at some point with you and possibly Rory and some others. I still need to have Rory on this show at some point. But please talk about what you feel Spiel could have done better without repeating anything that's already been said, if you can.
I will boil it down to one thing: communication. I think it would have been so much better if they had actually consulted with publishers as well as users way earlier down the line. I think having a central, like even just a single central Discord channel would have been something to sort of like, you know, give you the hype, give you the buzz of the show, which is something that I think that Virtually Expo, UK Games Expo, did very well. Because then if you have this one central single thing, people can then split off from there as opposed to just wandering around blindly. Yeah, definitely communication is the way to go. It's interesting that we've all been sort of like talking about the feedback aspect as well. I don't know if anybody else has received anything yet. I have not had any surveys or emails from Mers Verlag asking about feedback for the show. We would normally have received something by this point. But no, nothing so far. Maybe because they know it's not going to be super positive, I guess. But yeah, I just want to see an improvement in the communication, not just sort of like from a business point of view, but like an actual in-event point of view as well.
Now, I would like to, wrap up with a quick 5 minutes wider discussion of what this says about the future of digital conventions, because do we need to just get away completely from the metaphor, as Alan says, of the physical thing? Do we need, is moving towards a VR type thing like Alan mentioned and Michael, you know, vaguely or not so vaguely, frankly, into that. And I know that there was that whole Castle Trigon, which I tried to log in and then I just had a spinny thing for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'll try again later. And then I tried the second time and okay, I'm going to give up. But it was an interesting novelty. Will that even work? Because frankly, do we need to forget about all these things? Because look, there's so much good streams that are going on, and someone previously talked about there was just too much stuff. Alan mentioned that they went into Nipcard Games' stream and there was like one other person there, which feels incredibly sad. And is it just that we need to have, you know, smaller things, that we move towards a model of people doing things on their own? Like, you know, Bez and Friends Game Day is going to come back in January, either 9th or 16th. I'm not sure which one of those two dates. But what does this mean? Let's go round again clockwise. Or Xate, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think the smaller events have, in my opinion, done a little bit better of a job than the bigger ones I've been at so far this year. I've been to 4 or 5 digital conventions, and the best organized one was Shelfapalooza, which was actually pretty small. But there was one central Twitch stream that, you know, you were there for these hours and you were there for these hours, and it changed only once during the day. And there was a very clear list, a very clear schedule, who's doing what, where, and when. And yeah, Shelfapalooza, and they had a great theme song. I mean, that really helps. But I think, yeah, that's a cool model. If you know, as opposed to the big events where you can't do everything, you can't find everything, you can't see everything, and there's so much coming at you at once, you're just exhausted. I found the smaller convention personally more entertaining. I was able to actually do more, see more, play more, meet more people, have better conversations at that smaller con than I did at BGG Con, than I did at Essen Spiel, that I did at UK Games, that I didn't get into the one that you were just talking about also because my computer couldn't handle it. So yeah, I like that model personally.
I think that when the schedule is organized, we can have a better flow, like Shelfapalooza, for example. The Brazilian Pavilion for Spiel, for example, they had an open schedule with all the lives and all the interviews and playtests. So for the Brazilian public, the experience was a bit different than for the international, I would say. But yeah, it was like a smaller crowd. So I would say there was like a small Brazilian Spiel convention within the Spiel one, and the Brazilian one was very, very nice. And the Spiel one, like the Spiel one, I couldn't get like what was all about, because it was everywhere, everything, so many things. And maybe if it was like more centralized would be actually better for me, and not only as a game designer, but also as a player, because I couldn't play any games that were not mine during Spiel, and I thought I could. I was like, as I said, it was my first one. I was learning, I learned. I will pay attention for the next time.
For me, if you look at it, if you stand back a bit, the online audience is smaller than the normal physical audience. If we go VR, the VR audience will be smaller than the online audience and more elitist and more exclusive. So I'm not necessarily in favor of VR at the moment. I think that simple is better, and really the bigger the convention, the simpler it needs to be, because you've got a bigger audience with more technical challenges. So that's my message would be, keep it really, really simple, particularly if you've got a bigger convention, and use the experience that other large sites have, like Amazon and Netflix and people like that.
Cool. I would say, yeah, I would echo the simplicity thing. I would like personally to see essentially either an in-browser or a downloadable client thing that all the different conventions could just basically access into. So then that means that everybody knows exactly what to expect. Because the moment sort of like a new site goes live, like if you compare the difference between Virtually Expo, Gen Con, and Essen, all three of them were just completely different. If we could just sort of like have some sort of like centralized service, whether it's an independent one or something developed by gamers, where you could just sort of like rebrand it as a system where people could just go in, for example, like a RuneScape-esque, very simple, very processor gentle system. Because yeah, Castle Tricon like wrecked my Mac. I could not run it on my Mac, and that was just like, okay, that's impressive. But if you have like a small, simple, integrated system where perhaps, I don't know, if you are virtually wandering around it after you've made your little character, and when you're walking near people, you can hear them talking. That might be interesting. A focus on the games instead, as we said, instead of the publishers. So, you know, you could walk up to a virtual booth and you can see the the cover of a game, and it's just like, oh, what's that? You click on it, and it's just sort of like it gives you the information about the game. You click on the table that's in front of it, and you're immediately brought over to Tabletopia, so you can sit in and play a game with people. That's what I want to see. And hey, if only that was something that certain people were working on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at a future date. I absolutely need to recap and wrap this all up. We've talked about amazing stuff. We started off talking about handmade stuff, and then talking about like Spiel itself, whether it was too much, about the Discord, about the information, about the spreading the word, about, all sorts of things, about, and yeah, it felt like definitely there are some people who it sounds like it was great for them, and Quality Beast made their money back, so well done. If you've made your money back, then not only have you made your money back, but there's a good amount of promotions that you've managed to achieve, so well done. For most people, I'm aware it didn't quite work out so well. Now, as we finish up, from a personal point of view, obviously, I was aware of this convention. I chose not to spend money because but yeah, it makes us think about, why are we going to this big ass convention? Why are we going to this giant thing? Because it's not to play Prisma Arena, or to play Root, or Doggo Dash, or any of the L games, or to play March of Progress, or Cousins War, or anything. It's to play to see the new things. It's like not just for one game. It's not just for 2 games. It's like for everything. It's for like the abundance, the sensory overload. It's for the taste. It's for everything. And as we move into the digital space, to some degree, we have to kind of sever our connections, do you know what I mean? And be like, yeah, that's gone. It's really incredibly sad. I really miss it. And yes, it is to make people buy your games. As publishers, it is for that promotion. But as people, why do we go there? And yeah, I want to...
That's bleak, Jess. The next
pretend one. That is really bleak, man.
Oh, that's not right.
Yeah, I like everybody.
We have.
I don't think any of us can pretend that well.
No, we love meeting him.
We either love you or we love you.
With 3 minutes left.
We don't just pretend to love people who buy our games. We do love them. Absolutely.
My links are here. Let's go round. Where's my... Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. I'm sorry I didn't get to everything today. I would wonder if we should have a follow-up thing. So we start off with... yeah, Quality Beasts. Let me... yeah, how do you like to be found? Unmute yourself. Xate.
Okay. Come to our Quality Beast Discord, discord.qualitybeast.com. Check out our Twitch or our Insta. Everything's also Quality Beast. And especially our Discord, though, because that's where you can set up play tests with me or with somebody else in English or German or Dutch. So, bye.
And Alan.
Best to contact me on email, which is alan@surprisetogames.co.uk.
And what's the next one? Oh yeah, we've got some personal things for Xate in case you want to follow Xate personally. I recommend the Instagram because you see some nice pictures. And Doggo Dash, where's Tally? There.
Hi, you can find me in all these addresses, and Doggo Dash is free on Tabletopia. You can play online. You can join our Discord and play with me. And yeah, we are on Twitter. Need you. We love you. It's true.
And finally, it's the sweet boy.
The one, the only. So personally, @IdleMichael everywhere is me. For a work thing, just search for We Are Hub Games. It's We Are Hub Games across all of our socials. And yeah, follow me here, there, twitch.tv/idlemichael, where the minute this thing goes off, I'm about to go live to do my twice weekly game design stream, which will be lovely. And it's not there, that's live right now, actually. So it'll be kicking off in a mo.
And we've got lots of love for everyone. And yeah, maybe these captions should be partly transparent. Oh, yeah, we can't read Michael unless we just say, bye, Michael, bugger off.
My stream is live now, but I'm going to jump over there in a minute after I go to the bathroom.
Okay, go to the bathroom, and then we will try and raid you. Yeah.
All right, I'm out of here. Love you all. Mwah.
Bye,
Bye,
Michael.
Bless you.
Bye, Michael. Bye, Michael.
And I just want to say, yeah, I'm very sorry, Xate. Hopefully your boss will not mind you being like 2 minutes late today. I want to say...
I think he knows where I am.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael, even though they've just left, only because I told them to. Thank you, everyone chatting, Tally, Alan, Xate, and of course, was it Dylan in chat? I don't know if it was Dylan or someone called Alan in chat from Quality Beast who shared messages, and of course, all the amazing people who are just, yeah, just chatting and providing lovely questions. And so thank you, everyone. You're all amazing. Lots of love. And yeah, should we even bother doing this final bit, Xate? Yeah, everyone gets like 5 words. What are you up to? What you're looking forward to? I'm going to say post, work, food, telephone, walking. Sally, your turn.
I have I forgot the word. Now in a university, I'm going to present Dogo Dash, and then I'm going to play Dogo Dash, and then I'm going to write about Dogo Dash. And
That's way more than 5 words
yes.
already. I'm sorry. Alan.
I'm better at math.
Food. I could do it in 4. Food. Walk. Redeveloping Kingmaker. That's mine.
Okay. Xate.
Hanging on Discord channel now.
Okay. And if anyone has anything that they want to share of what they're looking forward to, Jess is coming over, has someone coming over for hugs. And yeah, lot for hugs. Quang. And oh yeah, Quang is going to be on my stream soon, apparently. So I'm going to start having Thai people over here, because why not? And so lots of love. If you want to see future streams, look at my streams. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm talking to Kat Tobin about RPG publishing. It's every day at 10 AM. Tonight at 8 PM, we've not decided what we're playing tonight, but fingers crossed, Xate might join us, I don't know. But we're going to be, brilliant! And we're going to be playing something that we'll decide in the intervening hours. Share, spread the word. We're going to raid Michael. Please join us. And lots of love to everyone. And there is only one thing left to say, which is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, everyone. And I'm just Reed, Idle, Michael, and yeah, this is very unusual. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah. Stop.
The 10-minute bye-bye song.
Bye bye.
Bye, bye, buy all of our games now. Especially Michael and Collie's, because apparently they didn't do well at Essen Spiel, and I feel bad. So go buy all of their games. Doggo Dash on Kickstarter now.
Thank you, Xate.
Yeah.
Doggo Dash on Kickstarter. I'm coming
And
back.
also buy Yogi. I
Thank
hear
you,
it's
Ellen.
quite good.
Ellen's
Yeah.
there.
Okay, right.
And I hear with Yogi, you
Yeah.
can actually play an economic stock market game. So buy Yogi too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Ta-da!
Bye. Doggo Dash. Bye.